When I ran into Zane again, I was loading up on holiday groceries with my new boyfriend. Zane casually raised a hand, gesturing for his bodyguard to help carry my heavy Whole Foods bags to the curb. I gave him a polite nod of acknowledgement, said my goodbyes, and walked away. Later, gripping the steering wheel, my boyfriend muttered, "That guy is into you. Stay away from him." I just smiled. I was with Zane for 2 years. Everyone in our social circle swore he was dead serious about me. Yet, right when he was genuinely considering marrying me, I pulled the plug. Because over countless sleepless nights, I had come to an agonizing realization. He was taking up entirely too much space in my life, dictating my every emotion. Meanwhile, I only occupied a tiny, dispensable corner of his. Sean had to park a few blocks down because the lot was a nightmare. I stood by the planter box, guarding our mountain of groceries. Bored, I unlocked my phone. A familiar Wi-Fi hotspot name popped up on my screen. Z_Maybach. Zane was nearby. Aside from the initial, heavy thud in my chest, I was pretty sure I felt nothing else. Still, I couldn't stop myself from glancing around. A sleek black-tinted window slowly rolled down a few yards away. Zane lowered his phone and met my eyes. I froze for a split second, then offered a small nod. Traffic was probably gridlocked. Sean was taking forever. I heard a car door open and shut. Zane's towering bodyguard strode over in a tailored suit, effortlessly taking the heavy paper bags from my hands. Honestly, I was fine leaving them on the ground. But the second I let go, a glass jar of marinara sauce tipped over, nearly rolling out onto the asphalt. "Thank you," I said. "Of course, miss," the bodyguard nodded respectfully. Mr. Malik wanted to know if you'd like a ride home. I glanced over at Zane's car and shook my head. "No thanks. I'm waiting for my boyfriend." The bodyguard looked slightly conflicted. He walked back to the Maybach and murmured something through the window. The glass rolled up tight. A second later, Zane stepped out of the car himself. The bodyguard set my bags down and backed away, keeping a discreet distance. "Crazy coincidence," I said. "Didn't expect to see you in this part of town." "Waiting for a meeting," he replied, pausing for a beat. "How have you been?" "Everything's great." "Seeing someone?" "Yeah. For a few months now." "What does he do?" "Do I know his family?" "He's just a normal, middle-class guy." "You wouldn't know him." "Impossible." Zane's expression was calm but irritatingly certain. "You're ambitious, Selena. You wouldn't settle for someone ordinary." I paused, a dry laugh escaping me. "Then I guess you never really knew me at all." A few sharp honks interrupted us. Sean had pulled up in his Honda. He rested his arm on the open window, tapping the door panel. Zane followed my gaze. His eyes locked with Sean's for a long, silent moment before he smoothly looked away. "That him?" "Yeah," I said, slipping my phone into my pocket. "I should go. See you around." Behind me, Zane's voice carried a rare hint of hesitation. "Is this really the life you want?" he asked. "Selena, choosing a guy like that, are you telling me you didn't just settle?" Of course, the wealthy life was glamorous. When I was with Zane, I could point at something in a magazine, and it would be delivered to my penthouse by dinner. Spending the holidays with his family felt like stepping into an Upper East Side old money Pinterest board. But the truth is, I love the chaos of normal life. I love going to Trader Joe's with my partner to argue over what to make for dinner. I love assembling IKEA furniture together. I love squishing onto a cheap couch with my favorite person, watching stupid TikToks, and laughing until my ribs hurt. To me, that is happiness. I didn't settle. And I never will, I said, looking back at him. He gives me peace of mind. If I care for him, he doubles that effort and gives it right back. When I'm with him, I feel genuinely needed. I looked at Zane's perfectly sculpted face, my eyes suddenly stinging. "Goodbye, Zane." I walked around him and headed straight for Sean's car. The trunk popped open. Before I could even grab a bag, Zane's bodyguard swooped in and loaded everything into the back for me. Sean leaned against the rear fender, staring at me without saying a word. I pushed against his chest, shoving him toward the driver's seat. "Stop looking at me like you just caught me cheating." His tone was flat. "So you weren't? Is he insane?" I buckled my seatbelt and stretched my arms. 2 traffic lights later, Sean finally broke the silence. "That guy likes you. He probably wants to steal you away. I don't want you talking to him." I stared at him, caught somewhere between exasperation and amusement. "And how did you deduce that, Sherlock?" "Gut feeling." Sean drove in silence for another solid minute before suddenly hitting the brakes a little too hard, turning to look at me. "Wait. Who was that?" "My ex," I said. "Oh, so he's my predecessor. Looks like I was the one who stole you away." Sean deadpanned. "Should I go back and buy him a drink out of respect? Are you sick in the head?" I groaned. "You've literally never mentioned him," Sean said, keeping his eyes on the road. "Why did you guys break up?" Spill. "Usually, talking about exes is a fast track to an argument. I want to know. Do I have to die today?" I sighed. He didn't back down. "Tell me." I met Zane at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. His nephew, Timmy, had put me there. It was a weekend night, and I was doing a side gig walking a client's golden retriever in Beverly Hills. I had just dropped the dog off when a custom Servalo road bike came flying around a blind corner and slammed right into me. Timmy was only 16 at the time. He was so terrified he could barely form a coherent sentence, just sobbing and begging me not to die. The ER doc diagnosed a minor hairline fracture in my leg. 2 months of conservative bed rest. Timmy was too scared to call his parents. Crying and snotting all over himself, he called his uncle. Lying in the hospital bed, I couldn't help but find it hilarious. I've never seen a kid so close to their uncle. Aren't you worried he's going to scream at you? I asked. You don't get it, Timmy said, puffing out his chest. He was 14 when I was born. We practically grew up together. He's never raised his voice at me in my life. Sure enough, Zane arrived at the hospital straight from the office, not even bothering to change. Tom Ford suit, trench coat, leather briefcase. He looked exhausted, like a Wall Street shark who hadn't slept in 3 days. After checking the doctor's report, he cut straight to the chase. Miss Selena, we can't afford any bad press or legal records regarding this incident. Name your price, and we'll settle this privately. I nervously picked at my cuticles under the hospital blanket, hesitating for a solid 30 seconds. Including the medical bills, would $8,000 be okay? Timmy's eyes widened. I just started my job as a fashion design assistant a few weeks ago, I explained awkwardly. With this injury, I'm definitely going to be fired. It'll take months to land another interview in the industry, and LA rent is ridiculous. If that's too much up front, we can wait until the final hospital bill comes in. Zane narrowed his dark eyes, studying me for a long moment, seemingly calculating my angle. Timmy, meanwhile, let out a massive sigh of relief and waved his hand dismissively. OMG, you are the best. Don't even worry about it. I can Venmo you right now. Just focus on resting. What the hell? 16-year-olds just have $8,000 sitting in their Venmo? Timmy pulled out his phone, but the man beside him raised a hand, stopping him cold. Are you planning on explaining to your parents at the end of the month why you randomly wired $8,000 to a woman you just met? Timmy silently took 3 steps back. And that was how Zane and I exchanged numbers. He transferred the money, promised he would make a few calls to ensure my boss kept my job, and politely told me to reach out if I needed anything else. Keeping my job was a miracle in itself. Naturally, I wasn't going to bother him again, especially since he gave off a vibe that screamed do not approach. But Zane started dropping by my hospital room. Just short visits. He'd ask about my life, my family, my day. Sometimes he'd arrive, and 10 minutes later, his assistant would knock on the door and whisper something that dragged him away. Later, I found out that when the accident happened, Zane was in the middle of a massive corporate acquisition. Because I got hit, he genuinely suspected I was a corporate spy hired by his rivals to stage an extortion trap. It took him 2 months of running background checks to finally conclude that I just had incredibly bad luck. At the time, I had no idea. I just thought his presence was suffocatingly intense. Whenever he walked in, the nurses would practically sprint out of the room. Being alone with him felt like sitting in a high-stakes interrogation. But over time, we got used to each other. One day, while scrolling through TikTok, I absent-mindedly handed him a paring knife and an apple, telling him to peel it for me. Timmy, who had been sitting in the corner, looked absolutely horrified. He started calling me sis with newfound, terrified respect. In the beginning, Timmy treated me really well. But once Zane and I officially started dating, Timmy's attitude completely shifted into something cold and condescending. He stopped greeting me. He acted incredibly distant. It was like I had gone from being an equal victim he respected, to a glorified sugar baby leeching off his rich uncle. Honestly, I had thought about it. I thought about dropping the whole true love delusion and just using his elite network to launch my fashion career. After realizing how warped Zane's views on love were, I really considered it. If he doesn't actually care about me, why should I treat him like a priority? But sadly, I couldn't pull it off. Even now, I still can't comprehend what genuine love actually means in Zayn Malik's dictionary. The catalyst for our breakup was cars. Zayn didn't have many vices. He didn't gamble, he rarely drank. His only obsession was canyon carving and track racing. He had a membership at an ultra-exclusive, private mountain road club in Malibu. The asphalt was pristine, swept daily by private staff, with 0 traffic cameras and 0 speed limits. He took me to his favorite track once. That day, he was uncharacteristically animated. He looked like a teenager again, hands expertly gripping the steering wheel of his Porsche GT3 RS, his brow relaxed, radiating arrogant confidence. He explained tire grips, apexes, and which chassis was best for hairpin turns. I just stared at the endless blind corners, my spine rigid with terror. He caught my pale face in the rearview mirror and immediately pulled into the nearest pit stop. Motion sickness? He brushed a stray hair from my cheek. Do you need to throw up? If you hate it, we don't have to come back. Caught between ruining his rare good mood and lying, I chose the former. Can you, maybe come here less often too? I opened my mouth but couldn't finish the sentence. I had seen a fatal motorcycle crash when I was in middle school. Walking to class, I watched a guy on a street bike slam into a concrete median. His neck bent backward at a sickening angle, the dark blood pooling beneath him already starting to dry in the sun. Ambulances came and went. People drove around the body. No one honked. The only sound was his mother, collapsed on the pavement, screaming so hard no noise came out. Zane stared at me for a long time. The light in his eyes dimmed. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. It's my only real hobby, so. He pulled me against his chest, leaning down to press his forehead against mine. Are you scared I'm going to crash? I won't. I promise. What good is a promise like that? Every time he left for the track, I was sick to my stomach. If I knew he was going, I forced myself to tag along. I figured if I was sitting in the passenger seat, he'd at least drive a little slower to keep me safe. And it worked. Every time I rode with him, his rich track buddies would jog over, teasing him about why he was driving like a grandma. Then they'd see me, crouched in the bushes, vomiting my guts out. Ah, makes sense, one guy laughed. Why did you bring a +1 to the track? If I didn't bring her, I'd never hear the end of it at home, Zane replied casually. Damn, who is she? Must be special to have you whipped. The guy leaned down, trying to get a look at my face. Keep your eyes to yourself, bro. You drunk? Zane's friend yanked the guy back, laughing and pointing toward the winding cliffside. The hairpins are brutal. If she gets motion sickness, just leave her at home. She's suffering. I was suffering, but the next time he grabbed his keys, I still insisted on going. Zane cracked open a bottle of Fiji water and handed it to me, his heavy eyelids drooping. You're completely pale. If you're this terrified, why do you force yourself to come? He bent down slightly to meet my eyes and sighed. I'll cut back, okay? If you're worried, just wait for me at the clubhouse at the top of the hill. My stomach was burning with acid. I chugged half the water, suddenly feeling incredibly emotional. But also, it felt worth it. He promised. Still, I couldn't fully let it go. Every now and then, I'd sneak up to the hilltop VIP clubhouse that overlooked the track just to keep an eye on him. I wasn't worried about the staff tipping him off. They had no idea if I was there with him or just hanging out on my own. Having a vantage point gave me a weird sense of peace. Whenever his custom Porsche hit the asphalt, I could spot it instantly. True to his word, Zane's visits to the track dropped drastically. Until we had been dating for a year and 9 months. Exactly 2 months before I finally broke up with him. I was sitting in the hilltop lounge, looking through the floor-to-ceiling windows. And I saw Zane's car pull up, with a girl sitting in the passenger seat. I really hate thinking about these things. Even though it's all in the past, dragging it up still triggers the old, suffocating anxiety. Sean parked the Honda in our driveway and cut the engine. So, you guys broke up because he cheated? Do you still want to hear the rest? I deflected, opening the car door. Come on. The ice cream is going to melt. He pressed his lips together, grabbed the groceries, and dropped the interrogation. I walked behind him empty-handed, looking up at the California sky. Seeing that girl had completely broken me. Even though, from what I saw, Zane didn't do anything explicitly physical with her. When she stumbled out of the car, she immediately started dry heaving, but she looked up at him with a flirty, breathless smile. Zane just leaned against the hood, waited for her to catch her breath, and handed her a cold towel. Once the club staff rushed over to help her inside, he got back in the car and drove down the mountain. I don't know how far things went between them. But it didn't matter anymore. It was the ultimate proof. If I hated his reckless hobby, there were plenty of other beautiful girls willing to endure the nausea just to sit in his passenger seat. If I wasn't there to accompany him, someone else gladly would. And he was perfectly happy to accept their company. I always knew Zane was highly sought after. Whenever we went to galas or charity dinners, there were endless streams of women pulling out every trick in the book just to get his attention. Some people even sent me luxury gifts, trying to bribe me. They'd say things like, "You've been his flavor of the month for a while now. He's going to get bored and kick you to the curb eventually. Introduce me to him, and if I get anything out of it, I'll split the profits with you 50-50ths. It was disgusting. Sure, he wasn't interested in the girl at the track this time. But what about next time? What was I supposed to do? I couldn't find an answer. I stayed up for nights on end, spiraling. Conveniently, Zane had to fly to Tokyo for a massive tech summit that lasted over 2 weeks. It gave me the space I needed to breathe, ensuring I wouldn't completely lose my mind and become hysterical in front of him. Eventually, I convinced myself to just let it go. Dating a man like Zayn Malik and expecting a fairy tale romance was naive to the point of stupidity. I decided I wouldn't care if he wanted to gamble his life on a hairpin turn. I wouldn't care how many women hovered around him. I'd just stay, leech off his wealth, use his network to build my own brand, and secure my future. Love? Who gives a shit about love? When he returned from Tokyo, he brought me gifts. Rare Hermes bags, Cartier watches. I took the boxes and shoved them into the back of my closet without even untying the ribbons, figuring it would be easier to resell them later in pristine condition. I pretended nothing was wrong. I mirrored our usual routine. Zane was genuinely drowning in work. He was barely ever home. When he did come back to the penthouse, he'd lock himself in his study, only coming into the bedroom to shower at 2 a.m. When he finally slid under the covers, wrapping his arms around my waist from behind, his skin was still freezing cold from the marble shower. He took a few deep breaths, exhausted, and buried his face in my hair. I laid there, wide awake, waiting. I waited until his breathing evened out, then carefully, millimeter by millimeter, tried to slip out of his embrace. But he jolted awake instantly. He blindly reached out, grabbed my hand, and pulled me flush against his chest again. His breath was warm against the back of my neck. In the dead silence of the room, every inhale sounded impossibly loud. Why are your hands and feet always so cold? He murmured, his voice thick with sleep. If your feet are freezing, just put them on my legs. Why are you still awake? I had a nightmare, I lied quietly. Still half asleep, he began mindlessly rubbing circles on my back to soothe me. The housekeeper said you'd barely been eating. Are you sick? Or just lost your appetite? Just not hungry. He paused. In the dark, his voice dropped to a feather-light whisper. Do you think, maybe you're pregnant? I stared at the dark wall, a bitter laugh dying in my throat. And what if I am? Then we go to City Hall and sign the papers first. We can delay the actual ceremony, he mumbled, waking up a bit more. My grandfather passed away a few months ago, so a massive Hamptons wedding wouldn't look right now anyway. I let out a microscopic, cynical scoff and rolled over to face away from him. Don't stress. My period is right on schedule. He caught the shift in my tone. His voice instantly sobered up. What's wrong? Nothing. It's probably just PMS cramps. I see. He closed his eyes, resting his large, warm palm flat against my lower stomach. Then it's a week early. Do you want me to have the chef slow roast some of that imported lamb for you tomorrow? Or are you craving something else? I didn't answer. Laying there in the pitch black, I suddenly couldn't stop the tears. What was the point of all this? If I really meant nothing to him, why did he go out of his way to care about these tiny details? I couldn't even remember my own cycle dates, but he did. A man with his background and wealth wouldn't just casually offer marriage and a child unless he genuinely cared. He seemed like he wanted a family with me. But if I carried that much weight in his heart, why couldn't he respect my boundaries? I realized I no longer knew what true love looked like. Honestly, I would have preferred it if he treated me like a cheap plaything. It would have been infinitely easier to handle than this half-genuine, half-toxic devotion. It felt like someone had handed me a beautiful, decadent slice of cake, but the frosting was laced with crushed glass. I couldn't swallow it, but I couldn't throw it away. The silk pillowcase beneath my cheek was cold and wet. Zane finally noticed my unnatural, trembling breaths. He sat up and clicked on the bedside lamp. The sudden, warm yellow light flooded the room, stinging my eyes so badly I had to squeeze them shut. For a few agonizing seconds, there was only silence. Zane leaned over me, his eyebrows pulled together in a deep frown, staring at my tear-stained face. Why are you crying? I covered my face with my hands, the dam finally breaking as violent. Uncontrollable sobs ripped through my chest. I want to break up. Zane, I'm breaking up with you. I was completely exhausted from second-guessing everything, from tying my every emotion to his actions. Zane didn't say a word. He just stared at me for a long time. Finally, he grabbed his robe, stood up, and said, "We'll talk when you've calmed down." Then he walked out and shut himself in his study. I knew he rarely had much patience, especially when he was swamped with work and running on empty, but I still couldn't help wishing he had just sat with me a little longer. Even if he didn't say anything, it would have been enough. All I wanted was that tiny bit of extra patience. But he didn't give it to me, which meant I really wasn't that special to him. After I cried until my eyes were swollen, I got out of bed and started packing. I took everything he had ever given me that I could physically carry. Dragging my heavy Rimowa suitcase, I thumped down the plushly carpeted stairs. A sliver of light spilled from under the study door. He was awake. He didn't come out to stop me. In fact, by the time I reached the lobby to call an Uber, his private driver was already waiting for me at the curb. The driver asked, "Where to, miss?" My tears inexplicably started falling all over again. I told him I wanted to go home. Back to my own cramped, rented apartment. The driver loaded my suitcase and started the car. And just like that, nearly 2 years of my life quietly and smoothly came to an end. For me, the holidays weren't really a break. With the new year approaching, my custom couture orders had strict deadlines. I had to constantly oversee the tailor's progress while simultaneously drafting new designs. Sean's family was loaded. He didn't actually need to sell his paintings to survive, but I still ruthlessly woke him up every single morning and kicked him out to walk the dog. After working day and night for over 2 weeks, I finally survived the post-holiday rush. I was just planning to take a few days off to rot in bed when my phone rang. It was Zane. Right after we broke up, I honestly thought he might reach out. He never did. After a while, I stopped waiting and didn't even bother changing my number. His voice came through the speaker, slightly distorted. "Have you been busy lately? Did you need something? I need to commission a few custom pieces." A paying client. I sat up on the couch and cleared my throat. "Sure. When did you want to come in?" "Whenever works for you." I was about to say I can head to the studio right now, but as I walked past the easel, Sean suddenly grabbed the hem of my shirt. He didn't even look up, just kept blocking in the base colors on his canvas. I tapped his hand, whispering, "I have to go to work." He adjusted his grip, pulling the fabric even tighter. On the other end of the line, Zane let out a faint, questioning, I snapped back to reality, covering Sean's hand with mine as I replied, "I'm free after 3 p.m. Perfect. The moment I hung up, Sean finally let go. I sat down on the floor next to him, resting my chin on his shoulder. The Maliks are massive clients. If I don't secure this order, that's a lot of money gone. I'll reimburse you. I really have to go soon. Do you want me to bring you anything back?" I casually picked up a damp paintbrush and lightly dragged it from the spot behind his ear down to his collarbone. His muscles gave a violent flinch. His breathing instantly grew heavy. He turned his face away, the brush in his own hand slipping, messing up a stroke on the canvas. "Stop that, it tickles." I narrowed my eyes playfully, dipped the brush in water, and did it again. Sean scrambled backward, catching himself with his hands on the floor. I quickly crawled over, pinned him by the chest, and pulled up the hem of his t-shirt, randomly painting wet streaks across his abs. He frantically covered his chest, trying to arch away from me, his voice rough. "Sel, please. I'm working. Stop working and play with me." "I thought you said you weren't ticklish?" I purposefully slowed down the strokes, watching him with utter amusement. He swallowed hard multiple times, looking flustered as he tried to yank his shirt back down. "TCH, I scoffed, sitting back on my heels. "It's not like I haven't seen it before." He panted slightly. "It's different." "Fair enough." Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the sunlight was crystal clear, illuminating the bare winter trees in the courtyard. So what if it was broad daylight? If we were going for thrills, we might as well commit. It wasn't like anyone could see us anyway. I leaned down and cupped his face. His lips under my palm felt dry and burning hot. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw his fist crush a box of tissues. The man beneath me suddenly let out a muffled groan. His right hand accidentally slammed into his palette, smearing his long, elegant fingers in rich, oily crimson paint. I burst out laughing, reluctantly letting him go. "There's some cleansing oil in my bag. Go wash your hands." "Wait." He grabbed my wrist, looking deeply embarrassed. "Kiss me one more time." I raised an eyebrow. "Did you catch some inspiration?" He nodded, slowly lying back down on the floor. "Help me remember the expression on my face right now. I want to see if I can paint it." "That's a tall order. I make clothes, I don't paint portraits." I pulled out my phone and waved it at him. "If you don't mind, I can just record it for you." His face went from flushed to violently red. He instinctively reached up to block the camera lens. I was just teasing him. I leaned down, pressing my cheek against his affectionately. I heard him swallow hard again before letting out a resigned sigh. Sean turned his head away, utterly mortified. "Do not let that video leak." I tossed him my phone and strolled over to the kitchenette to pour myself a glass of water. Sean rolled over on the floor, tucking his bunched-up shirt down to cover his ribs. A sliver of his V-line was exposed, his skin, which rarely saw the sun, looked strikingly pale. After washing the crimson paint off his knuckles, he sat back down at his easel. He picked up his brush, unlocked my phone, and opened the video. He watched it for maybe 3 seconds before hastily locking the screen, his tone suddenly stiff. "Aren't you going to be late for your client? You're holding my phone. How am I supposed to leave?" He pressed his lips together, quickly airdropped the video to himself, and shoved the phone back into my hands like it was burning him. Go to work." I was practically shoved out of his art studio, feeling entirely refreshed. Traffic was lighter than usual. I made it to my design studio in exactly 20 minutes. Zane hadn't given me a precise arrival time, so I had no idea how long I'd be waiting. I was flipping through the latest issue of Vogue when someone knocked on the door. A hand with long, distinct knuckles pushed the door open before the person even stepped into view. The light caught the face of a Patek Philippe watch, flashing briefly. Zane walked in, pausing for a fraction of a second. "Happy New Year, Selena." "Happy New Year," I said, glancing at the wall clock. 3:05 p.m. "I honestly thought you wouldn't be free until tonight." He took off his tailored coat, draped it over the chair next to him, and sat down casually. "You're running this place very well." I gave a tight smile. "Thanks to you." The wealthy socialites and heiresses in this city already had their go-to private tailors. You could walk down any historic alleyway and probably find a master craftsman who had been making bespoke suits for decades. If Zane hadn't aggressively leveraged his network to endorse me, stealing clients from those established designers would have been practically impossible. I cut my thoughts short and slid my entire portfolio of past designs across the table. "What exactly are you looking for?" "Women's evening wear. And a wedding dress. Classic silhouettes, nothing overly complicated or flashy, but impeccable tailoring. The wedding dress should be satin. You can reference vintage aesthetics for the design." It took me a solid 10 seconds to process his words. "You're getting married?" I asked. "Are you sure your bride is going to want to wear a dress made by your ex?" He brushed it off effortlessly. "Don't worry about it." I froze again, a small, genuine laugh escaping my throat before I could stop it. "Zane, you are really something else." I took a shallow breath. "I've always thought you were a fascinating person. You act like you couldn't care less what anyone thinks, yet you somehow remember all of their ridiculous, trivial preferences. Are you like this with everyone?" His eyelid twitched slightly. He countered with a question of his own. "Did I completely ignore your feelings when we were together?" That question stopped me dead in my tracks. He slowly spun a fine china teacup on the table. The warm, yellow pendant light above cast a shadow over his brow bone, half hiding the expression in his eyes. He looked relaxed, calm, and faintly puzzled. It was as if, to him, he truly had nothing to feel guilty about when it came to our relationship. "I only have so much energy to give, Selena. And I gave vastly more of it to you than to anyone else. As for the thing you're still hung up on, frankly, maintaining multiple relationships at once is too high a risk, and I have zero interest in it." She made her intentions clear, and I shut her down. That was it. Then why didn't you just explain that to me back then? Did you honestly expect me to know why you were suddenly crying in the middle of the night? Well, I appreciate you going out of your way to finally figure it out. So, while we were together, he had never been with anyone else. He hadn't even considered it. The bitter knot that had been suffocating me for over a year finally dissolved. I understand your requirements, I said, gesturing toward the door. Send me her measurements when you get a chance, and I'll contact you when I have the initial sketches. Zane slowly closed the portfolio, remaining seated, looking entirely unbothered. When are you and Sean planning on getting married? I looked up, shocked. You investigated him? For the first time, Zane actually looked taken aback. He pressed his lips into a hard line. Do you think I'm planning to hurt him? I paused. No. You wouldn't do something like that. He's the second son of the Sterling family. Known for being reclusive since childhood. Wants nothing to do with the family business. I've dealt with his older brother before, I didn't need to run a background check. He looked incredibly displeased as he set his teacup down. He walked to the door, stopped with his hand on the handle, and turned his head slightly. So, why did you choose him? It wasn't so much a choice as it was two of a kind gravitating toward each other. Because, just like me, he requires a massive amount of emotional communication and reassurance. Before I dated Zane, I thought love was supposed to be unconditional, completely unreserved, pure, and absolutely loyal. Later, I realized my standards were delusional. That kind of love is 1 in a million, and I was never going to be the lucky one to find it. I lowered my expectations. I realized everyone has some degree of genuine affection to offer. I figured finding the most compatible person in the room to build a family with was enough. But then I met Sean, and I changed my mind again. I still wanted something pure. I still wanted a fiercely passionate lover. Maybe genuine feelings are fragile and prone to change, but I was willing to roll the dice one more time. Zane slipped his coat back on. It took him a long time to finally reply. Alright, he said. Would you mind if I brought my fiancé here to meet with you in person? You should ask her first. I highly doubt anyone wants to walk into their future husband's ex-girlfriend's boutique. I suddenly remembered something else. Also, the jewelry I took when I left. I know it's worth a fortune, and I heard some of it belonged to your late mother. I never sold any of it. I'll inventory it all and have it sent back to you when I have time. Keep it. You liked it. I did, I admitted. But we both have new lives now. We need to respect our partner's feelings. He stepped out the door. See you around. I finally met Zane's fiancée about 3 weeks later. When they arrived, I was modeling a new sample dress while Sean quickly sketched an impressionist concept piece of it. Zane lowered his gaze, his eyes trailing from my face down to the hem of the dress. What are you doing? I'm planning on entering this piece into an exhibition. When it's done, I'm going to display the dress alongside Sean's painting. As I finished explaining, a pale, delicate face peeked out from behind Zane. She was a full head shorter than him, incredibly petite, with soft, rounded features. She looked very distinctly southern, approachable, with a face completely devoid of sharp angles. Miss Alina, I'm Chloe. She smiled brightly. Wow, you really are stunning in person. Wait, what exactly is he painting? On the canvas, there was nothing but a blurred, abstract river of deep violet. I carefully considered how to explain it. It's an impression piece. Basically, it captures the raw feeling you get when you look at the dress. Oh, I get it. She nodded sagely. Explaining design theory to buyers is useless. It's way better to just sell them a vibe so they feel like a supermodel when they put it on. Exactly. Have a seat, I'll be right back once I change. As I walked past Sean, I tapped his shoulder. Are you heading home now? He looked past me, locking eyes with Zane. Mr. Malik, why don't you join me in the tea room while we wait? Zane raised an eyebrow, smirking slightly as he extended a hand in an after you gesture. I have a really bad feeling about this. When I walked back out, feeling entirely stressed out, my assistant had already finished taking Chloe's measurements. The numbers and her basic requests were jotted down on the notepad. It was incredibly straightforward, there really wasn't much to discuss. She was slouched on the velvet sofa, scrolling through TikTok, but sat up perfectly straight the second she saw me. I smiled. You're honestly very different from what I expected, Chloe. That's totally fair, I know what you mean, she agreed enthusiastically. When the Malik family first reached out to arrange a date, my parents didn't even want me to go. They told me I talk too much, I've lived abroad for too long, I have zero filter, and I'd definitely offend someone. But then Zane. She lowered her voice, pointing discreetly toward the closed door of the tea room. When he found out they were hesitant, he personally sent an invitation to my parents, insisting on meeting me. We had dinner a few times, and next thing I know, we're engaged. But honestly, Zane is a pretty solid guy to marry. Even if romance isn't really his thing, he takes his responsibilities seriously. My parents told me that if I marry him, I'll never have to worry about fighting off mistresses or dealing with a messy divorce. So I figured, why not? It's a strategic marriage anyway. Even if he never falls in love with me, he'll make sure both our families profit. Wow. Talk about jumping in blind. I was speechless. I just picked up my sketchbook. Low saturation classic tones. Prefers minimalist, elegant silhouettes. Your requests here don't really match your personality, Chloe. Oh, this? She waved a hand. I completely made that up. I hate boring colors. But his family expects me to wear beige, ivory, and pastel yellow, so whatever. It's your wedding dress. Shouldn't you pick something you actually love? No, she refused instantly. I'm just going to play whatever role the Malik family wants their new daughter-in-law to play. I fell silent for a moment. When is the wedding date? If it's soon, I need to expedite the production schedule. No rush. Our families just finalized the agreement, so it'll be at least a year from now. She waved her hand dismissively. I don't want to marry in early anyway. That kid and his family is so annoying. Since when did Zane have a kid? She quickly clarified, I mean his nephew, Timmy. He constantly acts like I'm completely beneath his uncle. I literally have to hide whenever he's around. That tracks, I said dryly. When I was around, he tried to pick me apart too. He didn't stop until Zane finally snapped and ripped him a new one. I thought he just hated me because I was broke, but I guess he treats you the same way. She stared at me, blinking. Zane? Ripped him a new one? I thought back on it and shook my head. Maybe ripped is a strong word, but his tone was definitely terrifying. Back then, my phone carrier had atrocious reception in the hills. After hearing me complain about it constantly, Zane made a habit of carrying a spare phone on him, keeping a personal Wi-Fi hotspot running 24/7 just for me. I was the one who set the password. It was our initials mashed together, followed by 999. I had originally wanted to make it something incredibly cheesy. Zane had leaned back against the headboard, laughing at me, begging for mercy. Please, sell, he groaned. The next time I'm in a board meeting and someone asks to hop on my hotspot, how the hell am I supposed to say that out loud? I had pretended to be furious. Who exactly is someone? Do they not have any boundaries? I stopped mid-sentence. The boardrooms he sat in were often filled with highly influential politicians and CEOs. For security reasons, the buildings frequently jammed external cellular signals. His dedicated hotspot phone acted as a secure internal line, immune to the jammers. It was completely normal for him to let important colleagues connect to it. Fine, I conceded graciously. Whenever you get a new girlfriend, just remember to change the letters. People in love say incredibly stupid things. We love making self-deprecating jokes about being abandoned, secretly waiting for our partner to swear to the heavens that they'll never leave us, that they'll love us forever. Zane would always just smile. He despised lying, and he wasn't the type to coddle anyone with empty promises. But talk enough nonsense, and eventually, someone overhears. One day, Timmy came over looking for him. He walked in right as I was making one of my passive-aggressive jokes. I had told Zane that he was in such high demand, he'd probably write me a check and tell me to get lost any day now. Timmy, standing in the doorway of the study, instantly burst out laughing. It's good that you know your place. When my uncle finally dumps you, I'll personally write you a bonus check for your troubles. I was kneeling on the floor next to Zane's chair, playing with the end of his silk tie. I never expected anyone else to hear our private banter. A hot, humiliating flush crept up my neck. But Zane stopped smiling. He slowly looked away from his laptop screen, lifting his eyes just enough to pin Timmy with a dead stare. Did you forget who's in charge here? The mocking smirk instantly vanished from Timmy's face. He stammered, calling out nervously, Uncle Zane. Oh, so you do remember I'm your uncle. Zane's voice was deathly quiet. Walking into an elder's home and insulting their partner to their face, is that the kind of manners you've been taught? Timmy's head snapped up. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Immediately, he turned his head, looked me dead in the eye, and delivered a crystal-clear apology. I looked up at Zane, silently asking what to do. He let out a quiet sigh. Go entertain yourself, he told Timmy softly. I won't be free until after 8. Don't wait for me for dinner. I got up and quietly closed the study door on my way out. I swore to myself right then and there that I would avoid his family like the plague. I was so tired of being looked down upon, of having my every flaw magnified. But from that day forward, Timmy never crossed me again. Whenever he saw me, he acted like a perfectly respectful, obedient kid. It even got to the point where VIP guests visiting Zane at the house would intentionally go out of their way to formally greet me. His elite friends started casually asking him when he was going to pop the question. Zane didn't seem to find the questions weird. He just calmly explained that since his grandfather had recently passed, the mourning period wasn't over yet, and they had to wait. Hearing that, his friends all turned to me and started offering their early congratulations. At first, I was thrilled, but also terrified. I pulled them aside and asked, can Zane even make his own marriage decisions? Doesn't his family care about status? You really don't know how the Malik family operates? They asked, looking at each other in disbelief. The old man has been married 3 times. His eldest son and daughter are from his first wife, but they've been estranged for years. Zane's mother, she passed away a long time ago. The current young wife hasn't had any kids. Zane's older brother adores him and refuses to interfere in his life. The old man completely handed over the reins of the empire to Zane years ago. That young stepmother relies entirely on Zane's success to fund her lifestyle. Do you really think she'd dare utter a single word against whoever he chooses to marry? I was ecstatic for months. Back then, even I believed it. I believed that the moment he finally decided to propose, I would fall to my knees in gratitude and scream yes. No one could have predicted that I would be the one to initiate the breakup. And contrary to everyone's expectations, I didn't come crawling back a few weeks later, sobbing and begging for a second chance. Even though, in those first few months, I was in agonizing pain. Now, in the blink of an eye, it was our second year apart, and we were both preparing to marry other people. By the time Chloe and I finished finalizing her design requests, the sun was already setting. Humming a slightly off-key pop song, she leaned halfway into the tea room. "Let's go, babe. We're all done." "Just a second," I called out, stopping them as I unlocked the heavy steel safe in the corner. "The jewelry is all here." Returning it to its rightful owner, I popped open each velvet box one by one. Chloe looked at Zane, seemingly surprised. Zane's expression remained completely unreadable, but he eventually signaled for his bodyguard to take the boxes. The Malik family's budget was astronomical. The commission from Chloe's wedding dress alone was enough to buy me a brand new Bentley. I decided to block out my schedule, treating the next few months as a semi-vacation while I worked on it. Sean adamantly refused to tell me what he and Zane had discussed in the tea room. After interrogating him for 3 days straight, he finally admitted they literally hadn't spoken a single word. They had apparently just sat across from each other for 20 minutes, staring in mutual disgust, before simultaneously closing their eyes and ignoring each other's existence. "Your ex lacks basic manners," Sean added coldly. He looked at me with this completely baffled, judgmental expression. He analyzed my face for a solid 5 minutes, sighed, closed his eyes, and leaned back on the couch like I was exhausting him. "What right does that old man have to act so arrogant around me? How did you even date a guy 7 years older than you?" It's hard to argue with that. Zane was 5 years older than Sean. He really wasn't young anymore. Unlike the silent war between Sean and Zane, Chloe absolutely loved hanging out with me. She practically treated my boutique as her second home, dropping by whenever she was bored. Today was no exception. I had already refilled the teapot twice, and she still showed no signs of leaving. I finally tried to drop a polite hint. "Chloe, you are literally the first person I've ever met who actively seeks out her fiancé's ex-girlfriend. Does being here not bother you at all?" Oh, I was pissed at first. But I figured, if Zane was willing to bring me here himself, it meant he was open to sharing his past with me. That's a green flag. Transparency is good for a stable marriage. She leaned over my cutting table, her eyes sparkling with gossip. "I am kind of curious though. When you were with him, was it really not about the money at all?" I gestured grandly to my massive, sunlit studio. "You'd have to be an idiot not to care about the money. I literally asked him for this prime real estate and all the funding. When I couldn't find good assistant designers, I made him sponsor a massive scholarship competition at Parsons. And I handpicked the 8 students whose aesthetics matched mine. That's my entire team right now." "Wait, how did you even ask him for that?" "Teach me your ways." I paused for a second. "I just asked him. It wasn't really a big deal." Chloe went quiet. A long moment later, she forced a dry, awkward laugh. Normally, doing something that high profile, it wouldn't exactly be a good look for someone in his position. The atmosphere suddenly felt incredibly strange. "I'm sorry," I said quickly. "I didn't mean anything by that. No, I'm just marveling at it." She expertly poured herself another cup of hot water. "I heard you guys were basically practically engaged. Why did you suddenly end it?" I had zero sense of security. I was paranoid 24/7, and he was obsessed with racing cars. I was constantly terrified he was either going to crash and die, or cheat on me. I couldn't handle the stress. "Ugh, you fool." Chloe slapped her thigh in frustration. "If he likes racing, just buy him racing gear. Just coddle his ego, that's what I'm doing right now. I don't know what else to buy him without looking stupid, but he always accepts the racing gear I send." She sighed repeatedly, looking at me like I had fumbled the ultimate bag. "For that kind of money, couldn't you just pretend to be blind and put up with it? If you don't actually love someone, you can put up with anything. But if you truly love them, you can't tolerate a single flaw. So what about the guy you're with now? You guys click?" "Sean." I couldn't help but smile instinctively. "Let me put it this way." I put down my fabric shears and pointed out the glass window at the courtyard. "If I pointed out there and told you, this specific leaf is shaped perfectly and I love it, the water in that pond looks heavy, but the water in the other pond looks thin, would you think I was completely insane?" Chloe scratched the sleeve of her cashmere sweater. "I just think you're very detail-oriented. Sean knows exactly what I'm saying. Whenever I ask him for a concept sketch, no matter how abstract or unhinged my descriptions are, he understands exactly what I want. I just wanted someone who actually listens to me. It wasn't that Zane was a bad person, but spending a lifetime trying to decode him would have been sheer torture." "Ugh, I wish," she sighed, glancing toward the front door with a smirk. "But you should probably stop talking. Your little artist boy looks like he's about to explode." Sean had arrived silently. He knocked on the glass door with a completely deadpan expression, his voice unnaturally deep. "It's time to walk the dog." Chloe grabbed her Birkin. "I'll come bother you again soon. Bye." The sound of her heels faded down the hallway. Sean slowly retracted his glare from the door. "Does she come here often?" I held up a hand. At least 5 times this month. She's trying to win Zane's favor. You should let her hang around, it's good for your business. I looked at him. What do you mean? Sean grabbed the dog's leash. She's showing him how magnanimous she is. Not only is she not attacking you, but she's befriending you. Zane is going to respect her a lot more for it. That sounds like a stretch. I grew up in this world. I know how it works better than you. I thought you said you didn't understand human nature. Since when did you become a philosopher? Wait, what is this stupid dog eating? I lunged forward, prying the dog's jaws open. Are you trying to eat a leather belt again? He weighs 110 pounds. Hitting him with a belt doesn't even hurt him, Sean said calmly. Impossible, I argued. Every time I smack him, he immediately behaves. He probably just likes getting hit, so it puts him in a good mood. I licked my lips, leaning in close to Sean's ear. What about you? He stopped dead in his tracks, his entire body going rigid as he nervously scanned the pedestrians walking past us. Can we please wait until we get home to talk about this? By late spring, Sean's parents had started aggressively pushing for us to set a wedding date. He went back to his family estate for a few days, calling to ask if I wanted a short engagement or a long one. So, on top of managing my massive client list, I now had to design my own wedding dress. Chloe still visited constantly. Every now and then, she'd even refer a few ultra-wealthy new clients my way. I had stopped treating her like a formal client, casually waving hello before going back to pinning fabric on my mannequins. The studio door swung open again. I didn't even look up for my measuring tape. I ran out of your favorite oolong tea, you'll have to settle for my matcha. Chloe didn't respond. She just stood frozen in the doorway, looking like a pale, hollow statue. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the heavy, dark circles under her eyes. She looked like she had been dragged through hell. I instantly knew something was catastrophically wrong. What happened? Selena, her voice was completely shredded, barely a whisper. The news is going to hit the internet any minute now, but I wanted to come tell you myself. Zane had an accident. He crashed his car into a mountain. He didn't make it. If you want to see him, get in my car. An accident? I opened my mouth, but my brain refused to process the words. My mind went completely, entirely blank. Pure instinct took over, and I blindly followed Chloe out to her car. When did it happen? I fumbled with the seatbelt, my hands shaking so violently I couldn't get it into the buckle. My palms were ice cold. I don't know. Chloe's hands were trembling on the steering wheel. I haven't even gone to see him yet. We flashed through 2 private security checkpoints before the car screeched to a halt in front of the VIP hospital wing. The afternoon sun was blindingly bright. I fired off a rapid, incoherent text to Sean, my sluggish brain finally starting to piece reality back together. The hallway was dead silent, save for the muffled, agonizing sounds of people whispering and quietly sobbing. The massive private hospital suite was already packed. Faces I recognized, faces I didn't. The Malik family's relatives, business partners, executives, and lifelong friends. The second I stepped through the door, dozens of eyes snapped toward me from every direction. The figure on the hospital bed was entirely covered by a pristine white sheet. Only a single hand with long, distinct knuckles rested outside the fabric. It was so cold. A bone-deep, winter chill. Usually, no matter how cold a person's skin is, you can still feel the faint warmth of the blood flowing beneath it. His hand used to be warm on the inside, cold on the outside. Now, the skin had simply absorbed the sterile, freezing air of the hospital AC. I held his hand tightly, but the only thing I felt was the icy stiffness radiating from his bones. This is so absurd. He was literally standing right in front of me not that long ago. Back when we were together, I had started a little lifestyle blog. I posted cheesy captions, sharing half-truths about my glamorous sugar baby life with him. Somehow, it blew up, and I gained over 100,000 followers. Even though half the comments accused me of faking my rich boyfriend, it didn't stop me from taking brand sponsorships and making decent money. When Zane eventually found the account, he laughed at me, calling me vain. To spite him, I started posting even more aggressively, slipping in tiny, secret messages meant only for him. I don't want a lot of money, I want a lot of love. I really hope he takes a few days off to spend my birthday with me. And he actually did. He cleared his schedule for 2 days and took me up to a private mountain lake to go fishing. I didn't catch a single fish, and when I jumped off a muddy bank, I rolled my ankle. The entire area was covered in thick mud and overgrown weeds. He put me on his back, and I dragged my useless fishing rod and empty cooler behind us as he carried me for miles. Right after we broke up, I made one final post on that account. I wrote, I'd rather he die than admit he just didn't love me anymore. Who knew a stupid, melodramatic post would become a prophecy? In the late spring of our second year apart, fate handed me his obituary. Someone gently touched my shoulder, offering me a tissue. It was one of his closest friends. I lightly held Zane's frozen knuckles, looking around the room at the sea of mourning faces. My mouth instinctively twitched into a polite, empty smile, before I frantically forced the corners of my lips back down. Wipe your face, Selena. God, Selena, if only you guys hadn't broken up. There are no if-onlys in life. I let go of his hand, stepping back to make room for the newly arriving mourners. Behind me, an old, raspy voice called my name. Zane's elderly father, leaning heavily on a cane, was sitting among the immediate family. You are. Zane's former girlfriend? Yes, sir, I whispered. I am so incredibly sorry for your loss. He recently set aside a massive sum to establish a trust fund in your name, the old man said, his voice slow and hollow. He told us it was meant to be your wedding gift. He looked utterly drained, taking a long, ragged breath before continuing. The lawyers will execute his will exactly as he intended. Miss Selina, I hope, when you have the time, you will visit his grave. I lowered my head, squeezing my eyes shut. The hospital air smelled sharply of antiseptic and bleach. The elevator ticked down, floor by agonizing floor. When I finally stepped out onto the concrete steps at the hospital entrance, the sun hit my face, and I felt like I had lived an entire lifetime in an hour. Sean silently wrapped his arms around me, supporting my weight. Talk to me, he murmured. If it hurts, just talk. I really thought he was going to live this glamorous, invincible, endlessly long life. I snapped out of my daze, looking up at Sean, my words tumbling out in a broken, incoherent mess. Honestly, I still just wanted him to be okay. When I was standing in there, I couldn't stop thinking, what would I do if something happened to you? Sean pulled my head firmly against his chest, holding me so tight I could hear his heartbeat. Let's go home and rest, Selina. Some people are forever trapped in the late spring breeze. And some people have to keep walking, toward the next summer. The sun was blindingly bright.